Hello, everyone. My name is Jumi Olabanji. I am the morning co-anchor at News 4, NBC4 Washington. And I want to thank you for coming to this fireside chat. We're about to have a really incredible conversation with Washington Mystics guard Natasha Cloud, who is joining us now. And I want to bring her up on the stage for this great conversation called Natasha Cloud, District of Change. I got to ask you, how are you doing? I know the season just kind of wrapping up here.
Yeah, obviously it was a season of kind of weathering the storm for us. Wasn't the year that we wanted to have, but what I keep telling everyone is that we're going to be better next year because of it. I really am a person that believes that your purpose, the adversity that is thrown at you during that is only intended to shape you for your purpose. So while this year has ended abruptly, I'm just really excited to get back to work this off season and then come into the 2022 season ready to go.
Yeah, and we are looking forward to that for sure. So I want to jump in this conversation. Let's first start with that title, if you will. Natasha Cloud, District of Change. Obviously, you are Natasha Cloud, but what does that mean to you when you hear the words District of Change?
It means a lot of things. I think you can use the District of Change in a lot of different facets. But for us as the Mystics, we take a lot of pride in understanding that we're in the most powerful city in the entire country, in the entire world, if you really want to talk about it. So we take ownership of that in being right in DC and being able to drive change, being able to have these hard dialogues and conversations, having the Capitol right down the street from us, having lawmakers right down the street for us. We're very aware of our surroundings. So when you say District of Change, I really do believe it starts with us in DC, and we really do take that role and that responsibility on seriously.
Yeah. How have you seen things change, in your sport, but also in the community and the city around you in, the last year and a half, 2 years or so?
Yeah, I mean, we can start with the sport in general. I think that we're continuously progressing every single year in women's sports, whether it is the WNBA, whether it is my wife playing in Athletes Unlimited for softball. We're continuously seeing support and investment into women's sports. But even with that being said, I think the bare minimum is being done. I think there's so much more room for investment into women in general, not only in the sports world, but in just the normal workplace as well. So while we have seen progression, I challenge us to continue to support women, to bet on women, to invest in women. And then as far as, us as a country, I think we still have so much room to grow and so much room to progress in. I sat out the 2020 season and, it's nice and there's all this momentum behind it. But then you go to 2021 and you're like, well, all these promises that were made in 2020, were they actually fulfilled? And you're looking at, have we put money into our lower economic communities? Have we presented opportunities and resources into these communities that desperately need them? And we haven't necessarily done that. So I do continuously challenge. This is why we're having these conversations, is to continue to progress this needle forward, so that we have a better future for tomorrow.
Yeah. It seems like such a maybe simple question to answer, but why is it important that we invest in these communities?
It is a simple question of, it comes back to the word equity for me. I used to use equality about 2 years ago, and then it came to me that I got an example of, okay, so equality would be, if we're looking over a fence, equality would be giving everyone the same box to stand on to look over the fence, regardless of height. You can be 6'1", you can be 5'2", but we're going to give you the same box. So those 5'2" people are not going to be able to see over the fence. Equity is giving those people that need more a bigger box so that they can see over the fence as well. So when we're talking about why do we need to keep progressing and why do we need to keep fighting for this, it's so that everyone is on the same equal playing field, for a quality of life, for a better life, for a better tomorrow.
Yeah, I love that analogy. That was great. So this symposium that we're in today, this specific track, if you will, is called Investing in Women in Sports. You kind of touched on it a second ago, but, what does investing in women's sports look like to you if it's the best that it can be?
I think a full investment of, you can use us in the Washington Mystics and the WNBA. I don't think that we've been fully invested in, whether that is money, whether that is different companies and organizations, endorsements, sponsorships, TV time. There's different ways. I really do believe we have the best fans in the world, and they really do support us through and through. But how do we continue to grow that support? How do we continue to invest in our women? How do we continue to present them the same opportunities that we're presenting their NBA counterparts? How do we, I bring up my wife a lot too, because I think the WNBA is like, we're at the top, and we still have a lot of work to do. But then I look at my wife, who is a professional softball player, and looking at the comparison between our two leagues, it's night and day. It's the same as like the NBA compared to us. So I'm like, how do we continue to invest in our women? How do we continue to present these opportunities and these resources to, again, move them forward? And that comes with simple investment of time, money, and viewership as well. Because numbers don't lie. When you put us on TV and when people can see us, then they support us. But if people have to go to the WNBA app and they have to buy a subscription and then there's media blackout for their area, they're not going to watch. But if you simply just put us on TV and make it easy for people, they're going to watch, they're going to support, and they're going to fall in love with us and the way that we play.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's step back a little bit and talk about the work that you've been doing over the past year and a half or so. You've, really kind of taken a role as an outspoken activist, an athlete, if you will, not only in your league, but in our city. First of all, tell us a little bit more about what that work means to you. And then if you could touch on some of the organizations that you've enjoyed partnering with over the past several months.
Yeah, I really do care about my community. And I think that just comes from how my parents raised me, about caring about other people, having empathy and sympathy for other people, and understanding how blessed I am to be in the position that I am. God truly has blessed me in not only my life, but my career, and being able to do what I do. So with the platform that he's given me, I'd be doing a disservice to a lot of people that look like me if I didn't use my voice. And so that's where me saying I always want to be a voice for the voiceless kind of comes from. I always want to fight for the underdogs. I always want to fight for the people that aren't being heard, that aren't being seen and embraced. And so I think that's kind of just driven me into this realm of being an activist. Because if you would have asked me a few years ago, I would have been like, no, I'm just speaking up when stuff is wrong. Like when I feel like things are wrong, I'm going to speak about it. But then you kind of dive into this, well, no, you're actually an active activist in your community. And it's been a blessing, and I hope that I can continue to have impact on our community and help push us forward and help to provide the resources and opportunities that we need. But when I sat out the 2020 year, I really did hit the ground running. And being a full-time activist, people thought, taking the season off, you were just on vacation. And I was like, no, I was literally working from like 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. on different panels, different podcasts, sitting in different rooms with different lawmakers, figuring out what we've tried, what hasn't worked, what could potentially work. And then obviously with being Black and bisexual myself, these things directly affect me in my every single day life. So I'm reliving trauma as I'm talking about these things that, again, directly affect me. They directly affect my wife. They will directly affect our future children. So this is why we are fighting and why we continue to fight. But partnering up with different organizations like Everytown or the Players Coalition or Social Change Funds have been huge for me. Because I'm new to this, but there have been organizations and grassroots organizations that have devoted their every single day lives to this. So how can I come in and how can I help you guys? How can I help expand our voice? How can I help to, turn this? Because as athletes, we can feel like we're under a microscope at times. And for me, it's always been, how do I turn this microscope into a microphone? Okay, the lights and the cameras are always on us. So how do I make my community better in those moments? And so I just try to do it out of the genuineness of my heart. And I really do love and care, especially about my communities in Philly, of where I'm from, and DC, that has been a home to me for 7 years now.
Yeah. And, you bring up community and that work. And you were recently kind of honored with the mural that was unveiled at New Hope Academy. And I know that's something that we covered at NBC4, but it's just incredible to see. How did it make you feel when you saw that? I mean, were you surprised by it all? Were you shocked? Were you humbled? Kind of tell us what the emotions were.
Everything above. I cried like a baby first and foremost. But it was brought to me. The mural itself wasn't a surprise. Highlighter and Zell had brought it to my attention, and for me, I was like, "Look at me! You're doing a mural of me!" Like, this is stuff you dream of as a kid, that you can have that much impact on your community that you care about and you love about. And being an activist, it can be a thankless job at times, and you don't do it for anything other than the genuineness of your heart. But there's been times where I'm like, am I having the impact that I want to have? Am I actually doing things within my community? And so to see that mural, and they surprised me with it, because they had me come out, they had me come to talk to the girls. And so they had my back kind of to it. So I didn't even know that it was behind me. And they were like, "So what do you think of your mural?" And I'm like, "I haven't seen it yet. Have y'all seen it?" And they were like, "Turn around, girl." So I turned, and I just started crying. And again, you just hope that you have that much impact on your community. You hope that you can inspire and create change and inspire these young women, especially young kids in general, but especially these young Black women. For them, I want you to see yourself in me. I want you to be able to dream your wildest dreams and know that whatever it is, it's obtainable as long as you work hard and you're a good person. And God will bring everything to you if you fall on those lines. And so it was just a surreal moment for me, and it was a surreal moment for my wife and my family. Just all the hard work that we've been putting in, like, it is having lasting impact on the community that I care most about.
Yeah, yeah. And I did want to ask a little bit. I mean, what is it like when you get to speak to the young women, in these communities who, sometimes their situation, isn't ideal, or, they're feeling like they're held back in the way. What do you tell them, and how special is it for you to be able to have those conversations with them?
Yeah, I like to think of myself as like one of the most approachable professional athletes, because I tell kids all the time, I'm like, we're taking a picture together, write me on Instagram, whatever you guys need, I'm always going to answer. Like, I always want to be someone that you can go to, and in whatever facet that I can help, I'm going to always help. So when I have the opportunities to go and speak to these young kids, whether it is boys or girls, but especially these young women, my goal is to empower them, B, again, for them to see themselves in me and know that their wildest dreams are attainable. And then again, to help in whatever facet that I can. Again, God has blessed me in abundance of ways, but one is being a professional athlete and having the resources and the opportunities that I can simply go to just by using that title. So in whatever way that I can help these kids with my status as a professional athlete, that's what I want to do. And I want to help guide them, especially young basketball players. Like, I can help in whatever facet you need. You need advice, you need to work on your game, whatever it is. I just want to be someone that they can look up to and just see themselves in, and be able to have everyday conversations with.
That's so important for sure. I know that you do a lot of work as an athlete, especially, when you're not working out, when you're not on the road, when you're not at games. Um, but in your opinion, what can, can and maybe should other athletes in your position who maybe have the desire to help or do more, what do you think they can do to support some of these causes that they may be passionate about?
Simply speak up, first and foremost. Use your voice, use your platform. Again, we can, as athletes, feel like we're under a microscope 24/7. Turn that into a microphone and use it for whatever you're passionate about. There's no one right way to be an activist. Whatever way you choose is the right way, but by sitting and being neutral and silent, that's not okay anymore. It's not okay to have this platform that can help thousands of other people, maybe even millions of other people, and not utilize that and not want to, be passionate about it and help your community. So first is just speak up. And then second, what helped me the most is just teaming up with organizations that are like-minded, that fit my morals and values and believe in the same things that I do. Everything that I do, whether it's my agent, whether it's Converse, whether it's the Mystics and Monumental, everything has to be family-like for me. And I make sure to partner up with different organizations that have that feel, that I can sit down, that I can call, that I can talk to, and that we can dive into our passions about. So just teaming up with the right organizations that are going to help you along the way has done, I don't think people realize how impactful these organizations have been to uplifting me, so that would speak up, do your job as a professional athlete with the platforms that we have, and B, team up with the right organizations to help you push your passions forward.
Yeah. Did you ever have, like, were you ever nervous or maybe anxious about doing that? Because we have seen, in the past several years, there have been athletes who have spoken out, and, many people believe it's hurt their athletic careers or stunted their growth or, negatively impacted them. Did you ever, consider that when you were deciding to kind of become an athlete and activist at the same time?
For me personally, no. But for other athletes, I can understand, because we have seen it. I mean, Colin Kaepernick is still not on an NFL team years later because he got blackballed out for using his voice for his community. And we can talk about countless other athletes that have seen repercussions for them speaking out. But for myself personally, I think it's just who I am. Again, I give a lot of credit to how my parents raised me. To be a voice for the voiceless and to speak up when I do think that something is wrong or it doesn't sit well with me. But for me personally, I'm okay. If I speak up and I do the right things and I follow my heart and I trust in God's journey for me, if repercussions come from that, but I did it out of the genuineness of my heart, then I have no regrets. And I think that speaks more volumes on organizations that would have repercussions. But I've been really blessed to be a part of Monumental and the Mystics. I've been blessed to be a part of Converse, who embraced me for me. They embrace me for being kind of loud and ruffling some feathers, because they know when it comes down to it, I'm doing it out of the genuineness of my heart, and I'm doing it to try to progress things forward for our communities that desperately need them. But I've definitely been blessed as an athlete, and I fully understand that I never had to worry about repercussions because my organization supports me. Converse supports me. Everyone that is around me supports me. So I never had fear of what those repercussions would be just by using my voice.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you brought up Converse, because that's where I kind of wanted to take this next. As I understand it, you are the first female basketball athlete to sign with Converse. Tell us how that kind of manifested itself and how excited you must be about that. I mean, that's a huge honor.
It truly is. And I have a lot of family ties with it because my dad, I mean, from the time that we were young, he's always wore Chucks. He's always, said when he was younger and growing up, if you didn't have Chucks on the block, like, you weren't the cool kid. But if you did have them, you were the cool kid. So when this kind of presented itself, it was after we won the 2019 WNBA championship, and Converse had just called me to do just a photo shoot for Dr. J. And obviously that sits close to my heart with being a Philly kid too, and him playing for the Sixers. And, it just kind of fit. And from there, I just developed a relationship with Adrian Stelly, which is my Converse rep. And he kind of facilitates the basketball side of things. But it just naturally came about. And again, those same beliefs, those same morals, and those same values, I believe in helping the community, and so does Converse. It kind of just fit perfectly, it's a blessing in itself. But I don't think we talk enough about how monumental it is that I'm the first female athlete, woman athlete, to sign on with Converse, who is the initial brand of basketball anyway. Like, you go way back in the day, Chuck started the whole basketball sneakerhead movement. So for me to be the first female, for me to be the first Black, bisexual, loudmouth, kind of ruffling the feathers female athlete for a brand, I mean, it's such a surreal feeling for me. Again, to have that support, to be seen, to be embraced, to be loved, to be heard, all through, your family. It's a blessing. I keep saying it, but God has blessed me abundantly, and Converse is nothing shy of that, but a blessing.
Yeah, congrats to you, because it's awesome, and it is a blessing. And, it kind of brings me back to just the whole title of this track we're on, investing in women in sports. And when it comes to businesses and sponsorship deals and things like that, what do you think needs to happen in order to drive up the business of women's sports?
The same thing, investment. I mean, it for me, it took me 5 years to get an endorsement deal. No one else was looking at me. And we get to the point that obviously it naturally was like intended to happen that way, and I really do believe it. But we have so many women in our league and in sports in general that are just badass women, and they're so good at their sport. Like, they are at the epitome of what it means to be at the like pinnacle of your sport.
Yeah.
And there's still not investment. There's still not support. We can talk about the women's soccer league and how, yes, their main players get paid, but even just 2 years ago, they're having to live with stay-in families because they can't afford, they're not getting paid enough to even live on their own. So it's things like that of, we need investment. We need people to believe in us. We are continuously at the forefront of every social issue. That can be said for the W, but women's in sports in general, we're always at the forefront, and we always have the most to lose. So I think just the simple investment into women, the simple endorsements into women, giving them a platform to be able to impact their communities and to be seen, to be heard, just a simple investment would do wonders for women in sports.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think is the importance of, obviously you're an athlete, but behind the scenes, right? Front office and the inner workings of these organizations. Why is it important in your experience or what you've seen, just hiring women to work in organizations and promoting them and then also supporting them?
Absolutely. I think we often look at diversity as like, this is something that we have to do. But diversity is such a beautiful thing. And I think what makes it so beautiful is that it doesn't matter what background you come from, what sex you are, what sexual preference you have, what religion you come from. We all have something to offer. And what I have, someone else might not have. What they have, I might not have, but we're all going to bring it to the table. So I think within companies, we really need to take a hard look at how diverse is our workplace. Can I walk into a building as Natasha Cloud and can I see myself? Because I can tell you 9 times out of 10, like 8 times out of 10, I'm not seeing myself. And it makes it very hard for companies then to understand diverse people. It makes it very hard for you to understand what a minority person in America is going through because you haven't seen otherwise. So I think what I've always said is our diversity is what makes us beautiful. Our differences is what makes us beautiful. To be able to walk into a gym and see an abundance of different people from all different backgrounds, it's a beautiful thing. And that's why I love sports so much, because sports is such a universal language. It doesn't matter where you come from, what you're made up of, what color you are. You're there to support one thing, and you're there to support your team. You're there to support your league. And I think it has a way of bringing everyone together.
Yeah. You know, knowing everything that you kind of know now and your experiences that you've been through both on and off the court, you know, what would you tell 10-year-old Natasha? um,
Oh,
and
man.
if you could go back and just kind of talk to your childhood self, what would you tell your childhood self now that you've been able to live life as you have thus far?
You are your ancestors and like your grandparents, you are their wildest dream. And you are perfect the way you are. Be authentically and unapologetically yourself, because that is more than enough. And it's going to carry you through life. People are going to like you. Some people are not going to like you. But at the end of the day, you are perfect the way you are.
No, that's beautiful. And then, forward thinking, if you will. I know that You've got one title with the Mystics. I know the hope is probably to
We'll
get
get
more.
some more back, I promise.
But you've got the Converse deal. You're recently married. Like, tell us just what you kind of see for yourself in the future. What are some other goals that you want as both an athlete and an activist?
Oh, as an athlete, this is like a new wound, but I got left off the defensive teams, and I think I'm a top 5 defender in our league. So next year, my goal is to be an all-star. I'm going to push for defensive player of the year. I'm speaking it into existence. I want to bring more championships back to DC. But as an athlete, like, I think now that I'm getting into the latter part of my career, I want to leave my impact on different players. I want to leave impact on, our organization. I want to have a lasting impact on different players. The same as, I just recently talked about, how big Sue Bird was for me, and showing me what it meant to be a leader in our 2019 kind of push for a championship without her even knowing. Like, I want to have that type of impact on players within our league before, because obviously I want to leave this league better than what I found it. That's always our goal, is that the next generation of women don't have to fight these same fights that we're fighting today, because we put in the work that we might not necessarily reap the benefits from, but at least they won't have to fight these same things. So I would definitely want to leave the league better than what I found it. And as far as like my everyday life, obviously Alicia and I, we really want kids. I can't wait to be a mom and to, just kind of dive into that of parenthood, and I just want to continue to, be a voice for the voiceless and really help and impact my community. If you would ask me a few years ago, I think I would have told you that I wanted to be a sports commentator, or I might have wanted to go into coaching, but I think I'm really finding passion and love for this realm of social, reform and social activism. So I think this is going to be the next chapter of my career, in a sense.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm probably, I have no authority whatsoever, but anytime you want to come hang at NBC4, we will gladly have you.
Well, sign me up.
Yes, you can come anytime. All right. Natasha Cloud, Washington Mystics, thank you so much for an awesome conversation today.
Thank you for having me, as always.
Absolutely. And thank you all for watching, and please enjoy the rest of the Sports Capital Symposium. Have a great day.